It is about 1 o'clock in the morning. The Game Awards come out in about 16 hours. And there are still some people and communities out there who seem to think that Silksong even has a chance of winning Game of the Year 2025. And realistically, the conversation you should be having is whether it even wins Best Independent Game, Best Indie Game, because in that category it actually has a chance. But the problem is that Clair Obscur is gotten nominated for practically everything, even Best Independent Game, so even there, it's going to have some stiff competition. But in terms of the conversation for Game of the Year, it doesn't even have a chance. It's not even going to be close. And even sites like Polymarket are giving Clair Obscur a 96% chance of winning. Silksong has like a 1% chance. Death Stranding 2 has a higher chance of winning than Silksong, according to Polymarket. And even if you disregard sites like that, the fact of the matter is that a lot of these awards are determined based on accessibility, and not just accessibility, but also general appeal across a wide variety of demographics, age groups, and audiences. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 has all of those. It will appeal to many different people of many different ages, and it will appeal to someone like your 50-year-old boss, your mom, your granddad, as well as your peers and friends, as well as younger people. It really does not have a single audience demographic that it won't appeal to, or not one I can think of off the top of my head. Silksong, on the other hand, will aggressively try to filter its audience near the beginning. And that's not necessarily a detriment, but it definitely will turn a lot of people away because the game doesn't really have a very smooth power curve. And even if you compare it to past games that have won Game of the Year, like Sekiro or Elden Ring, those games both either have a smoother power curve of difficulty scaling from beginning to end, or they have ways to have your character become a bit overpowered in the beginning so that they can cruise through some of the more difficult obstacles early on. And outside of the boss battles and exploration and maybe the music, Silksong doesn't really have the most engaging storyline or side quests compared to Clair Obscur. You can argue that you like those better because it's always comes down to taste and is a matter of opinion. But in terms of things that are just fleshed out, its side quest system is a bit lacking, and the storyline is fairly good, but it's not something I'm going to really remember or think fondly on in a year or 2 years from now. This whole debate kind of reminds me a bit of 2023, when Tears of the Kingdom was competing against Baldur's Gate 3 for Game of the Year. One was a long-awaited sequel that took many years to develop, and it was a sequel to a beloved IP. That was Tears of the Kingdom. And the other was a game that kind of surprised everyone by appealing to even the most mainstream demographics, as well as the more hardcore players, and that was Baldur's Gate 3. This kind of feels like a similar situation, where Tears of the Kingdom is Silksong, and Baldur's Gate 3 is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Silksong really just does not stand a chance. It is not going to win, and I think fans of the game should mentally prepare for this because it just doesn't have a chance. Looking at all these factors, Clair Obscur can and probably should win Game of the Year for 2025, honestly. Silksong was pretty good. It's an 8 out of 10 for me. But Clair Obscur definitely just came out of nowhere, reinvented a lot of concepts and ways that people even think about turn-based RPGs, and really just has almost universal appeal to every demographic of gamer. But at the end of the day, all that really matters is what game you enjoyed with and connected with the most this year. Even though it didn't come out in 2025, I enjoyed playing Nine Souls the most this year. And whether you enjoyed Hades 2, or Elden Ring Night Rain, or Blueprints, whatever game that came out this year, it only really matters if you connected with and enjoyed that the most. But Silksong is not going to win at the Game Awards. It has no chance, and if you still think it's going to win, you should just mentally prepare for it to lose, because it's just not going to happen. And I keep seeing so many comments online thinking or saying it has a chance. It does not even have a chance. So really, just learn to not care about these types of ceremonies too much if that upsets you, and just try to understand how these ceremonies work and what the criteria is for Game of the Year. It's not that hard to predict, and you should be prepared to see an Expedition 33 sweep happening.